Hello, in this video, I'm going to run through all of the cards in my brother's Lathril Blade of the Elves deck in Commander. This is an Elf Kindred typo build. So for 2 black and a green, it's a 2/3 Elf Noble with Menace. Whenever Lathril Blade of Elves deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 Elf Warrior creature tokens, and then tap 10 untapped elves you control. Each opponent loses 10 life and you gain 10 life. So, the deck is primarily built around elves. This makes a bunch of tokens, so how can we synergize off of those tokens in the multiples of creatures? And then incidentally, can we use those creatures to tap our commander's ability and win the game with that? In this video, I want to run through the creatures, enchantments and artifacts, sorceries and instants, lands, and the planeswalker that make up Xander's deck. So, first up, I'm going to run through the creatures. Arbor Elf, 1 mana, Elf Druid, untaps target forest. I like this card in Pauper because you can put a Wild Growth or Utopia Sprawl onto a forest and then untap it and build up your mana. But it's an elf. It untaps a forest. It ramps us. Arbor Elf. Next up is Beast Whisperer. It's also an elf. Every time we cast a creature spell, we draw a card. You're going to build a lot of mana up in this deck, and you're going to dump your hand quickly and drawing more cards in the type we want it to be. Beast Whisperer, always good. Green River Druid. 3 mana, 1/1 creature elf druid, tap, add green. Just ramps us, and it's an elf. What can I say? It's an elf. Glissa Sun Seeker for green 2. This is a rare from Mirrodin. Creature elf legend, first strike 3/2. Tap, destroy target artifact if its converted mana cost is equal to the amount of mana in your mana pool. So, of an interesting card. But you can add mana to your mana pool and then destroy an artifact. So an elf that can tap, and you have untapped synergies in the deck because our commander has tap 10, 12. So like, if you want to untap her to keep using it, you can untap this and destroy artifacts. So that's cool. Heritage Druid, 1 green, 1/1. You could tap 3 untapped elves, including the tokens our commander makes, to add green. So you just have a ton of mana in this deck. This is a green 1/1 elf druid. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. Dominar United Rare. Just, get those 1/1s up to 2/2s, and then every single time you cast an elf, you can pay green to draw a card. Like I mentioned, you're going to dump your hand quickly. Timberwatch Elf. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn or X number of elves in play. Our commander makes elves every single time it deals counter damage. You're going to have a ton of elves, and buffing this, especially with its menace, you can get this up to a lethal amount of commander damage pretty easily with this card. So it's a great card. I think it's Miara, Thorn of the Glade. 1 and a black for a 1/2 legendary creature, Elf Scout. Whenever it or another elf you control dies, you may pay 1 and lose a life. If you do, draw a card. Just some more. Let's draw some cards. You have cards that gain you life in the deck. Well, we'll get to those later, but you have extra mana. You can use it to draw extra cards. And the drawing the cards is important. Again, I keep reading myself, but your hand will go empty. The Knight's Blade, black and a 2, Commander Legends, Elf Warrior, 1/3. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Your commander makes tokens. This rewards you for tokens dying. Ruthless Winnower from Kaldheim, black 3 for a 4/4 creature elf rogue. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-elf creature. So every single turn, they have to sacrifice one of their stains, and it's going to keep things off the battlefield. And it really doesn't affect you, because I'm pretty sure every card we've gone through so far has been an elf, and I would be willing to bet that every card on the deck is an elf. So, oh wait, this one's not. So, a little bit of a non-bow, but the chances of you having those two in play at the same time are slim. But Rise the Exiled, green 2, legendary creature elf warrior. Whenever it attacks, 1 life for each elf you control. So every single time you can gain 10+ life. And then black second elf regenerate it, so it can stay in play. And you have incidental tokens, so might as well take advantage of those incidental tokens. Sereth the Viper's Fane for 2, a green and a green. It's a legendary creature, human warlock. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch. Other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. 1 tap, untap another tapped creature or land you control. So when your 1/1s attack, they have Death Touch because they're tapped. And as long as your commander is untapped, like you haven't used her ability or attacked her with, she has hexproof. So that's pretty cool, and it can protect everything else that doesn't attack. If you just have the lords that give all your elves +1/+1, they don't attack, suffer the consequences. So they have hexproof. And then all of your tokens have death touch, which makes them very hard for your opponents to block. Viridian, Joiner. Green 2, tap, add amount of green to your mana pool equal to its power. So it always adds at least 1, but all of your lords can make it more than 1. Copperhorn Scout, and whenever it attacks, untap each other creature you control. This, you can use the ability and then attack with this, and then immediately use the ability again. Now, each of your opponents have lost 20 life in the same turn, and that is a lot of damage fairly quickly. And if this incidentally dies, but you've already dealt 20 damage, doesn't really matter if it incidentally dies. Reclamation Sage, the good old Reclamation Sage. Green 2 for a 2/1. Creature, elf, shaman. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy a target artifact or enchantment. It's an elf with removal. It's exactly what our deck wants to do. Llanowar Tribe, green. Creature, elf, druid, 3/3, add green. This is 3 Llanowar elves, so it costs 3 mana. It's a 3/3, and it taps to add green. Gnarl Root Trapper. It's an elf druid 1/1 for black. Tap, pay a life. It adds green only to cast an elf creature spell. Tap, attacking elf you control, gains death touch until end of turn. So, you can use that ability after they've assigned blockers, and then you can just tap it and kill their best creature with one of your little tokens or something. Null Mage Shepherd. Green and 3 mana for a creature elf shaman. Tap 4 untapped creature you control. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. So, let's say your commander has attacked this turn for 4. These tokens don't need haste to use that ability. It's just like crew or station. You can just tap them to pay the cost. So you can immediately destroy target artifact or enchantment, which is good. Llanowar Elves. Let me go back to the card. There's 3 of them in the picture. 1, 2, 3. All together, they make a Llanowar tribe. That's pretty cute, I think. So, Llanowar Elves. It's an elf. Has a mana. It's a good card. Marwyn the Nurturer. This card is very good. Green 2, whenever another elf enters under your control, put a ++ counter on it, and you tap to add amount of green equal to its power. So, every single time an elf enters with our commander, it gets that many ++ counters, which is insane. And then you can tap for a ton of mana and just dump your whole hand. Well-Wisher, tap, add 1 life for each elf in play. That includes elves you don't control. Just like the OG slivers, like do Avalos slivers, Well-Wisher counts all elves in play, and you can usually gain 1 or extra life. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter your control, you put that many ++ counters on Woodland Champion. So for 2 mana, it's an Elf Scout 2/2, and every single time an elf enters, this elf gets a ++ counter, which is good. Elvish Archdruid. It is both a lord and adds green for each elf you control. It's a 2/2 for 3 mana. It's very good in this deck. Elvish Mystic. Same reason Llanowar Elf is good. Poison Tip Archer. This card's great. Gives you some board wipe protection. For 4 mana, it's a 2/3, reach and death touch, but whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. It doesn't matter if it's a creature you control or a creature any player controls. It's good whether or not you are playing elves or not in your deck. This is just good in any meta that plays a lot of board wipes. This card's great in that deck. Wirewood Channeler, tap, add X mana of any 1 color mana pool, X number of elves in play. All elves, adds tons of mana. Paradise Druid, elf druid. It has hexproof as long as it's untapped and adds 1 mana of any color. Cultivator of Blades, Fabricate 2. It's for 5 mana, it's 1 with Fabricate 2. So whenever it enters, you put 2 ++ counters on it or create 2 servos. And whenever it attacks, you may have other attacking creatures you control get +X until end of turn. For X. This is power. Sorry, yawn there. So if this is 3, every single time it attacks with your other creatures, all of your other creatures get +3/+3, and all of your lords make this bigger, all of your counters make this bigger, and then all of your other creatures get bigger every single time they attack, and you're going to make plenty of tokens with this. Liz Alan Scarblade. Black 2, 1/1, Elf Assassin, tap, discard a elf card. Target creature gets -X turn or X number of elves you control. Some removal. Wirewood Herald, whenever it is put into the graveyard from play, you may search life for an elf card if you derive it and put it into your hand. So whenever this creature dies, you can use it in early game as a blocker and get the best elf in your deck that you need for the situation. Very good. Also from Onslaught. Wirewood Symbiote for green is an insect. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Play a spell you only once each turn. Return a different one. Untap this. You have 10. You lose 10. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you can use this ability only once each turn, but it doesn't say it only is on your turn. So on your opponent's turn, if you have enough tokens and creatures still, you can return an elf, combo off and kill with that. Canopy Tactician for green 3, it's a 3/3 elf warrior with other elves you control get +1/+1, and then tap, add green, green, green. So adds a ton of mana and is a lord for all of your creatures. Immaculate Magistrate is green 3 for a 2/2 elf shaman with tap, put a +1 counter on target creature for each elf you control. So you can really fill up your commander and deal lethal commander damage easily because you're going to have multiple elves in play. Jagged Scarred Archers is green, green 1 for an elf archer. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of elves you control, and it taps to deal damage equal to its power to target creature if flying. So it's pretty cool. I believe that's from Lorwyn. I think that's the set. But give you some flying removal. You know, all of your elves are literally on the ground. They don't really have a reach, so getting rid of problematic flyers is good. Plus, you can wait to use that ability until they actually decide to attack you. The last creature is the Abomination of Llanowar. For 1, a black and a green, it's a legendary creature, elf horror, with vigilance and menace. This creature cannot be blocked except for by 2 or more creatures, and then its power and toughness are equal to the number of elves you control plus the number of elf cards in your graveyard. So this is good after you board wipe. That's why it's a horror. And this card can get very big very quickly. So that's a good card. And those are all of the creatures that are in this deck. Next, I'm going to run through all of the artifacts and enchantments. There's quite a few less artifacts and enchantments, and there were creatures. So Elderfane Venom is 2, a black and a green for an enchantment. Attacking elves you control have Death Touch, so all of our tokens will have Death Touch, and all of our other incidentals. And whenever an elf you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. So you're making a lot of tokens, and this gives you some resiliency against a board wipe. So, great card there. Kaya's Ghost Form. It's important for your commander to stay in play, and this is a good way. If it dies or is put into exile, return the card to the battlefield under your control. Plus, there's some other creatures you're really going to want that to keep around. So, some protection. Pyre of Heroes. It's an artifact. 2 tap, sack a creature. Search your library for a creature card that shares a creature type with the sacrificed creature and has converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the creature's converted mana cost. Put onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activates only as a sorcery. Anytime you can activate a sorcery. So you sacrifice a 2 mana elf, you get a 3 mana elf. Sacrifice a 3, you get a 4. So there's no combo that you're going up to, but you just get whatever you need next. So, Power of Heroes. Incendious Roots. For a black and a green, it's an enchantment with creature tokens you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. So now every single one of your tokens can tap for mana. And then whenever 1 or more creatures leave your graveyard, create a plant. And so that doesn't happen super often. The important thing to note is just that you're making a lot of tokens that are now literally Llanowar elves because they can tap for mana. So that's Insidious Roots. Prowess of the Fair. It's an enchantment. Kindred enchantment elf. Whenever another non-token elf is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. So every single time one of your non-tokens, you get another token. So you just keep having elves in play, which is great. Whenever you want to use this ability, you need to have 10 untapped elves. This can give you untapped elves after they die. Good old Soul Ring. Every deck needs to play Soul Ring. Herald's Horn. As it enters the battlefield, choose your creature type. You're going to choose elf. Creature spells that are elves of the chosen type cost 1 less cast. And at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you essentially get to draw an extra card if it happens to be an elf. Plus, it makes all of your elves cost 1 less. Vanquisher's Banner. When it enters, choose elf. Elves you control the chosen type. So creatures you control that are elves, so get +1/+1. And whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, elf, you draw a card. And literally, as we saw, I think every card but like 2 or 3 of them were literally elves. And then Crown of Skemfar. It's an enchantment aura. The enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each elf you control and has a reach. Like I mentioned, there's almost none with reach, so they made a commander card with reach. And then for 3 mana, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. So it gives you a little bit of resiliency throughout the game. Those are all of the artifacts and enchantments in this build. Next up, I have the sorceries in the instance. Eye Blight Massacre. As 4 mana, non-elf creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. So some early game removal to get rid of some things. Eye Blight Ending. It's a kindred instant elf. So anything that cares about casting elf spells or triggers whenever you cast an elf spell or checks if the top card of the library is an elf, you can get this and destroys target non-elf creature. Haunting Voyage is for black, 4. It's a sorcery. Choose a creature type. Return up to 2 creature cards of that type from your graveyard to the battlefield. If this spell was foretold, return all cards of that type instead. And then to foretell, you pay 7, and then during your turn, you pay 2, and then exile it face down. You can cast it later for 7. So in the early game, it can get 2 creatures back, well, for 6 mana, and then as you have time to put into it, and 2 board arcs that happens, you can pay 2, and then 7 on a later turn. You get all of your elves back. Revitalize, untap all creatures you control. Now you have untapped elves, and you can use the commander's ability. In Garruk's Wake, destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you control. You can get up to 9 mana in this deck very fast. Literally, like half the creatures in your deck tapped for mana. Feto Dredging for black and 3. It's a sorcery with return up to 3 target creature cards. Return up to 3 target creature cards of the creature type of your choice from your graveyard to your hand. So for 3 mana, for 4 mana, it gets you 3 cards back into your hand if they're all the same. Pact of the Serpent for black, and 1. It's a sorcery. Choose a creature type. Target player draws X cards and loses X life, for X is the number of creatures they control the type. So you choose yourself. You would, let's say, have 5 elves. You draw 5 cards, lose 5 life. Now, this card also, if you're playing against another token deck, and they're playing against a rebel deck, and they have 40 rebel tokens in play, choose them. They would lose 40 life. So that's cool. Crippling Fear. You choose elf, and then all non-elves get -3/-3. It's good. Galadrim Ambush is green and 3 for an instant. Creates X 1/1 elf warrior creature tokens, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Prevent all combo damage to be dealt this turn by non-elf creatures. So it gives you a blocker for all of them, and then prevents all the damage. So that's cool. Elvish Promenade, kindred sorcery elf. Create a 1/1 elf warrior creature token for each elf you control. So it doubles the number of elves you control, which is insane with, every time an elf enters, do something. Whenever those die, or it's needing 10, that's very good. Wirewood Pride is 1 green. Target creature gets +X on a turn or X the number of elves in play. So let's say this now, it has 2 power. You have 8 elves. It's now 10. It both deals 10 combat damage with its commander damage, but you also make +8/+8 is 10. You make 10 1/1s, and that literally gives you the 10 1/1s you need for that. So Wirewood Pride is a good instant for the deck. Shamanic Revelation, green 3. Draw a card for each creature you control, and you gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. I believe in this deck, it's mostly just draw a ton of cards, and then you can incidentally, your commander's been buffed a little bit by a lord or a disenchantment. You get some extra value there. Elven Ambush creates a 1/1 elf creature token for each elf you control. That really felt like this card. These 2 cards are very similar. One's a sorcery, one's an instant. Interesting. Patriarch's Bidding. For black, 3. It's a sorcery. Each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all creature cards of a type chosen this way from their graveyard to the battlefield. So all 4 players will choose a creature type. Let's say they choose elf, Phyrexian, dragon, and human. Everyone returns all of those types to the battlefield under their control, not just the one that they chose. So if I chose humans, but I also happen to have... No, if I chose elves and one of my opponents chose humans and I happen to also have a human, I can return that. So that's cool. It's reciprocal. Everyone gets to do it. But Raise the Draugr. For black, 1, it's an instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or return 2 target creature cards that share a creature type from your graveyard to your hand. So you get 2 elves back for 2 mana. The Planeswalker in this build is Tyvar Kell for black, 2. It's a legendary Planeswalker, Tyvar. Elves you control have tap, add black, so now you have access to black mana. +1, put a +1 counter up to 1 target elf, untap it against Death Touch. 0, create an elf token, or -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast an elf spell. It has haste until end of turn, and you draw 2 cards. So that elf will have haste. You can use the mana immediately to cast one of the 2 cards that you drew. If you happen to draw another elf, you can just keep doing that and get a ton of elves in play. Now I have the lands. The majority of these are basic lands. So all of these are just forests and swamps. But let's talk about these lands. Access Tunnel. Taps out a colorless, comes into play untapped. 3 tap, target creature with power 3 or less cannot be blocked this turn. Guess what? Your commander, as long as it's not being buffed too much, by default, can be unblockable by Access Tunnel, which is cool. Command Tower, untapped any land. Path of Ancestry enters battlefield tapped, and then you can add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, so Elf is the one we're focusing on here, you can discard 1, which is cool. So, in theory, once you get late enough in the game, you don't need lands, you can just get into your creatures. Skemfar Elder Hall as a land that enters battlefield tapped, it adds a green. Or 2 black, green tap sack it. Up to 1 target creature you don't control gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Then you make 2 1/1 green elf for creature tokens, activate its ability only as you could cast a sorcery. So just some more value in your land base. And then Rogue's Passage can make target creature unblockable for 4 mana. So, the Land of the Abomination, the one that's all the powers of its mana. Its power and toughness equal to the number of elves you control that are in play and in your graveyard, or just your commander has lethal commander damage. So, as you could probably tell, this was a version of the precon. I think this deck started with the precon, and then he took cards in and out of it. But it's also a budget-friendly build, so I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any recommendations for the deck, you let me know in the comments below. Again, thank you to Xander for letting me showcase your deck in this video, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day. And may your top decks be ever in your favor. Thanks.